There we go.
All right. Also, I want to say, Harry, if I do, please correct me if I accidentally misrepresent your position or let's say misinterpret what you're trying to say, and like just to clarify, I apologize if I do. I hope I can do the same.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm happy to hear that. Good faith right from the beginning. Likewise
Right.
as
Yeah.
well. I
I
do a
hope I
great
don't come
job.
across as dodging. Please let me know if I do, and yeah, I'll try to. I guess.
Yeah, likewise. So what's exactly that you wanted to talk about again?
Yeah. So when it comes to wild animals, I kind of just wanted to get what your position is entirely on this. I think I do know that I guess I've seen some videos, but and I do believe you've said that if there were issues like let's say with the environment, like that came about like by let's say saving a prey from a predator, you would be against it, or like if there were issues that would come about like that would result in more problems that you would be against it. Am I correct?
Yeah. So you want clarity in my position on abolishing predation specifically?
Yeah, kind of. Like, what do you go about? Like, kind of like, do you think how this relates? Maybe, well, whether it relates to veganism or not. What's your position on wild animal suffering or ethics? I guess in that area.
Yeah, I believe wild animal suffering is a huge issue. I think we should
Mm-hmm.
protect the rights of wild animals, and I take the view that predation should be abolished.
Okay. And when you say predation abolished, do you think like every predator, like that would include being in the ocean, or like even up to insects, or would it go like at like let's say just mammals?
Yeah, ideally we would do without predation completely. Yeah, so
Okay.
more of like a long-term thing. I don't claim for us to have the technology to do this right now. I
Okay.
just I just think it would be a very good thing to abolish predation. Do you agree with me there? Like if
Okay. Yeah.
just to understand very basic your position here, like
Right.
to understand your values. Like if we had to choose between two worlds, world A, the world goes vegan, but predation exists in perpetuity for the rest of Earth's existence, and the goal, but we find a way to abolish predation, so no animals eating each other. What world would you rather live in?
B, the latter. So I would actually agree with you there. If we could have like, I even talked to one of the people here about like if it were possible, genetic engineering. If we could genetically engineer predators to be herbivores, or if we could feed lab meat in a way to the predators, like that would kind of satiate their, I guess, lust to kill or temporarily satiate ways.
Okay, I'm happy we agree there. We share those values there because there's plenty of vegans who I've met that for some reason idealize nature and think
Really?
intervening is wrong, and they
Oh,
would
that's
rather
stupid.
live in a world where animals eat each other because I think
Yeah,
it comes down to them having some sort of aesthetic.
for nature.
Uh, yeah, so they value it aesthetically. Like, it's pretty though, so they don't
Are
want
you
to get rid
serious?
of it.
I thought it was more like, I guess, like, because, I mean, vegan gains. I'm sure we both know vegan. And, Richard says, I guess some things that are, well, I don't know. To be fair, I don't want to misrepresent his position, so I'm not going to say, but I guess some of it seemed like I was like, I guess it was a little different of a position. And maybe you probably know more about it, so I won't comment. But I didn't know that many vegans would be against it if, like, we had the technology to change nature.
Yeah, there's a fucking whole bunch of vegans. I obviously don't know the statistics, but they seem to be a lot. We seem to be the minority. People that believe
Really?
that predation should be abolished and nature should be re-engineered. I don't know. It seems to me to be a minority position as of now, but it's just like an intuition based on the people I've interacted with and stuff. I have no idea, but yeah.
Right, right. It seems. I think it. Yeah, I guess it's like. I'll be like to steelman maybe one side of their position if I could. Maybe they might be thinking that you guys would like go about trying to, I guess, hunt like or like support like poaching against lions or maybe poaching against predators in a way. Um, in that case, or like maybe like I guess they don't know what abolish predation like could entail. I guess if that makes sense.
Yes. So I do take the view that it is morally justified to hunt at least some predators.
For predators, is that like Abi's, Dr. Abi's position?
Yeah. So like I think Dr. Avi originated the position. He believes
Hmm.
it is morally justified to hunt odd order predators or primary predators, which are the predators that eats primarily herbivores, or that
Mm-hmm.
predators whose existence on nets increases rights violations.
Okay. I would want to know, like, so my position, I wouldn't necessarily, so my position, what if it were possible to tranquilize them in a way where we stun them out and we put a contraception on them, and so, like, every time they try to, like, let's say, well, actually, okay, if we're talking real, I guess the current time, yeah, I guess hunting predators would probably be, like, more effective, but, like, if we could tranquilize them in a way that, like, stuns them every time they're trying to catch a prey, and then if they starve, like, that's sad, but at least it's not, like, something that, on us, or I guess something that's, like, we're necessarily directly, like, killing them.
Uh, Weekly, I favor non-lethal solutions more, right? So I take the
Yeah.
view that if there were non-lethal ways to abolish predation, we should do that. But right now, there doesn't seem to be any of those solutions that would be like pragmatic to
Mm,
to go about and today. Like there's like some wild animals existing in nature right now that are going to be eaten alive
right.
unless
Like
we
the Komodo dragon and yeah, like the yeah. Okay. I can answer. I think so. So there's two ways. Because I'll be like honest. Like some parts of me, like I don't know enough about. Like I wish I know enough. I know about like the predators, and I know like about like the issue. Like with there's definitely a large amount of suffering that goes on in the wild, and I think a lot of people do kind of turn a blind eye to that. I also disagree a lot of times with the biodiversity aspects, and when people say that's for helping animals, it's not really. It's more like helping kind of an aesthetic, or like at least maybe like beneficial to humans in some circumstances. Um, I would say, however, I guess in one way though, like we could wonder, like especially when it comes to us role as humans in this part, like do you think it always makes sense to take the side of the prey versus the predator, or is there like no situation where you could imagine like there could be a time where you should take the side of the predator?
uh, yes, I do take the side of the predator in cases of even order predation. So I think it is a good thing to have some even order predators out there. That means predators that eat other predators. So they do the job for us of killing predators, and they
Hmm.
reduce rights violations by existing.
Hmm.
So I
Hmm.
take the side of those predators, at least pragmatically, right now. But at some point, it would be good to have no predation at all.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to see what I can disagree. Like, because actually, Harry, you and I have very similar.
But
Like,
can I ask you some questions about this, because we shared the view that a world without predation would be better. But
mhm.
do we disagree that killing at least some predators is morally justified?
It depends on what we mean by some, and I think it also. Well, there is a distinction I do want to make, at least how I would say differences. Like, so for instance, I would say it'd be easier for me to say something of like what like a distinction between domesticated animals versus wild animals. Like, if let's say a domesticated pig, was about to be killed by a wolf, I would feel obligated, or I would feel like that it would make sense to. I would feel there's good reason to go and try to save the pig from the wolf, because the pig, in a way, is dependent on us. Like we have like that type of relationship where we domesticate them, we put them in that situation where that they have to rely on humans to live, or like rely on humans to like go about their lives. And so, if you save a pet pig or dog, I would say that it makes sense to save on that animal in a way that it might not make sense to, let's say, because I watched a video. I think the a recent video you may have had with that person named Shadow about that question you asked for, and correct me if I'm wrong, if you had about like whether like a lion was about to attack a zebra, and you gave the point though, like he would be, I guess, okay, and please correct me if I'm mischaracterizing his vision, but he would be okay with saving the zebra, saving the kid in the situation of a kid was getting attacked by a lion, but not with the zebra because of the food chain. I would say that I don't agree with the reasoning that should be based on the food chain, but I do think there would be a difference between saving a pig or a domesticated animal versus saving a wild animal from a predator. Because the domesticated animal, we have a relationship with the domesticated animal in the sense that the domesticated animal is reliant on us. But in the sense of a wild animal, we don't really have that same type of relationship. That we kind of give them a sort of I don't want to say respectful love, but a respectful love, like in the sense that they have some form of autonomy, if that makes sense. So I'm open to changing my
Okay,
mind.
okay. So it seems that you do then agree with the propositions that with the proposition that it is morally justified to kill at least some predators, specifically in cases where animals that depend on us are in danger, and presumably in the human context, right? Presumably, you believe that saving a child that was about to be eaten alive,
Yeah,
using lethal force would be justified. So
I
there
would.
are at least some
Oh,
cases that would be justified in your view.
yes, and I want to clarify though, like if it, for instance, let's say though, like let's take an adult human. Like not every time I would save a human. Like let's say it's a hunter that was about to shoot. Like in some situations, like it really depends on the context of how that human came about into the context. So like let's say a human went. I don't know if you've seen videos of a person trying to pet a rhino or try to pet a lion, and he ends up getting killed from that lion. I would say that that's not like a justified to save the human.
Yeah, like he fucked around and found out
Yeah, it's
maybe.
like you're kind of being dumb in that circumstance. We can't like fault the animal.
Okay, but then there's some cases where you're I don't know if you're agnostic or you take the view that it's wrong to kill predators. Like, let me ask you the lion
Mm-hmm.
and zebra example. You saw a lion, you're in a helicopter. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
do you shoot the lion,
And is this like saving
or
a
not? Or let me make the question uh, more appropriate. Not would you shoot the lion? Would it be morally justified to kill the lion?
so it might be, or like it might be that the case that like coming to it, I don't know if like there's always going to be this will be a view that might differ from you, that I do think believe that there's some situations where there's no real right answer, or like in terms of like situations where you have to shoot a lion or shoot Zell, that it might be justified, but it might be something that we regret really a lot, and it's something that's very unfortunate, and like we would be very sad about that we have to do, if that makes sense, right? Like we don't take pleasure in the fact that we have to shoot the lion, or we don't take happiness. Like we wish that the situation could be different.
Sure, but if you had to answer, I guess a yes or no kind of question, is it morally justified to kill the lion? Would you say yes? Would you say no? Would you say that you're agnostic?
Mm. It would really depend on the. I guess like if this makes sense, it's like you're familiar with virtue ethics, right? Or to a certain extent.
Yeah, yeah, somewhat.
Yeah. In some ways, it's like to me, it's like it matters like what's the reason we're doing it for, and also like are we doing it out of compassion or are we doing it out of like arrogance? So if it was done for like a compassionate response, passionate reason, then yes.
Yeah, so let me give you a more like specific hypothetical. There's a guy in a helicopter. He's flying across the African savannah, and he sees a lion, and he has a lot of compassion for zebras, and he doesn't like the idea that some zebras are gonna be eaten alive by this lion. It's a young lion that we have no reason to believe will not eat any zebras in his lifetime. He shoots the lion for that reason. Is that action good?
I would say yes, because in that sense, it is a point where he's wanting to protect an animal. Given though, like I mean, and assuming that his action, like he's truly intention of killing, he's not like just putting himself there just to do it out of some sake of wanting to kill a lion or some, you know, interest of like just doing it as a trophy.
Yeah, sure, sure. So we do agree there.
Yeah.
Now, I do take the view that it is justified even if the intention is not good, just because the consequences are good. Like, let's say
Hmm.
somebody just was hunting lions and his intention was actually selling lion meat or like lion taxidermy products or something like that. like I could agree with you that the intentions are there, like kind of fucked up, used to like kind of
He's not a good person, like in the
use the so in a kind of virtue ethics kind of way. Yeah, I can agree with you, but I would still say that it's good to for that person to do those sort of things and for people to buy like lion sandwiches out of him or like taxidermy products because the consequences are some herbivores are gonna be saved from being eaten alive. So I don't know if you agree with me there.
Yeah, this is probably right where I disagree with you in the sense that, like, while I might recognize that, like, sometimes animals kill for aggression, I do think it really matters for why we are doing it. Like, the reason for why we are doing something matters a lot. I also don't, like, believe necessarily, like, while outcomes or consequences are something to take into account, I really do think it's bad. Like, it's an important thing that we don't treat animals as things to be eaten or creatures to be eaten. Like, because it's a very one of the things I learned from review is like trying to get rid of the idea that animals are just resources for us or food for us to use. In like the context when we don't need to, and so I would disagree with a person who tries to kill an animal. Like maybe it might lead to an outcome that like saved the zebra, but there's more at stake that in the sense that the issue is he's not really doing it out of concern for that, and in that sense, like it's doing it for the wrong reasons. And so I would
Hey,
disagree.
what's up? I'm debating, by the way. So I'm picking up my girlfriend from work.
Oh, nice. Where are you in Puerto Rico, right?
Puerto Rico, yeah.
Oh, nice. Is it hot there?
She,
Or
it is warm year round, yeah, and
yeah,
picking her
okay.
up from a vegan restaurant that she works at.
Oh,
But
nice.
yeah,
That's
so
awesome, man.
it sounds it sounds that there that we might have some like fundamental value differences there because you consider you have a normative ethic where you consider virtues. I do take virtue
Right.
ethics. Uh, I do consider them to a certain degree, but right, I'm more concerned with like deontic rights,
Okay. Threshold
violations, and stuff
deontology,
like that. I'm not super well
yeah,
read with virtue ethics, but I'm pretty sure I do care about
virtues.
virtue as well. Like I can agree with you that the person who hunts the lion out of compassion is a better person than the person that just want to make money out of selling a lion. I can agree with you there, but I don't agree with you, and I mean I'm just gonna ask you. I wouldn't agree that it's wrong. Like, would you say it is wrong for that person to kill the lion if his intention was to sell lion meat or whatever? Would you
I
say that's
mean, in
wrong?
wrong, well, I mean, it'd be impossible to legislate something like this, right? To know like what a person's intention is, like that would be the hard part. But like, I guess if like I was to evaluate the person, yeah, he's wrong because he's doing it for um the wrong reason. I do value the virtues more than I would say the outcome. And I know that might sound like crazy or like kind of ridiculous, but I do
No,
think that because
not
the
necessarily. Not necessarily, but I want to ask you something to test your logic there. Like, let's say
yeah,
this sort of thing was happening in the human context. Let's say some
mm-hmm,
guy was hunting chupacabras to sell chupacabra meat. And chupacabras were
mm-hmm,
some beings that existed alongside humanity, and they ate children alive. Like they ate a
uh-huh.
bunch of children alive every year. And some person was just hunting chupacabras with the intention to sell meat.
Intentions with the intention to sell meat.
But I
Yeah, I
guess
would say that's wrong because
the outcome is that
well, given that he's
some amount of
capable of
children is gonna be
doing.
saved.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's wrong because just because there's an indirect consequence, like or an indirect positive outcome from that, like in the sense that he was doing it, like he that it ended up being that where kids were saved. Like it's not to say that I want the kids dead, but it is to say though that at the same time, like if we are evaluating a person's act, like we have to. I do think ethics is more than just someone's actions. I think it really does matter, and I think you would agree with me to an extent, like because even like when it comes to picking out the right actions or right judgment, that requires certain virtues, like like a person could like play the name the trait. I'm sure you've seen this actually. Well, many times like people will be very dishonest and play the name the trait, and even go to the point where they're like being dishonest or not in good faith, and that's like a vice of them. Like they're not actually caring about like the situation. And I think that in many ways, like the virtues are fundamental. Like even if it doesn't lead to always the best outcomes, it is the point is we can only control our own individual choices, and so when we evaluate others, like it is important to know that they're at least like trying to come about this with the correct disposition.
Okay, so is that then? I guess it would be wrong for that person to go out and hunt chupacabras if his intention was to sell
Yes,
them.
if he's doing it for the wrong reason, yes. It'd be kind of like, for instance, if you were to, like, let's say, I guess, let's say, well, what's a more reason? Like, I guess if you were to say, like, you could say, like, if you were running over a person, like, if you were running over a person just for the thrill of it, or like for the, or even like, I don't know, just because you're in a rush to get to
Oh
work,
shit!
versus, yeah, like, versus running over a person because, like, if you don't run over that person, then that means that your daughter, like, that who's in your car, like, let's say,
Sorry,
will
can
not
you
be
go
able to.
through a hypothetical again? I became
Sorry. Let's say
distracted.
sorry. I kind of added something in. That was my bad. Yeah. But let's say a hypothetical where this guy is driving his car and he has a daughter in there, and in this situation, the daughter is requiring to go to a hospital immediately, like because she has like some, like, well, I don't know what disease, some disease. I'm not going to get too specific in there, but it's like some disease that's deadly. Now there is a person who is currently standing in front of the car, and he's like just, like walking around. He's not paying attention, but he might be. But at the same time, he's also just maybe just slow. He might also just not be fast to respond. Like, I would say, like, let's say, like, he's like taking too long for it would take, like, it would be too, it wouldn't we wouldn't get to the hospital in time to save his daughter, but he would rather than like doing it, like, let's say he hit the person because he wanted to get to the hospital to save his daughter, versus he hit the person because he was just impatient and he just wanted to, like, not have to go through a wait time at the hospital. I would say that the first situation is a person it's different from the situation of the second, even though both of them result in the person dying, getting hit in the car.
I would agree there that it is at least less vicious to run over the person because you're thinking your daughter's gonna die versus like being impatient or something like that. In both cases, I think it would be wrong to murder this guy with your car, but I agree
Right.
with the intuition there. But I do think we do have a value difference there
Yeah.
in the human case where somebody's hunting the murderers of humans. I think
Mm-hmm.
the action is still good. If somebody decided to buy chupacabra sandwiches, if it turned out to save some,
Protect human rights, or yeah.
yeah, save some children from being eaten alive, I would consider that as a good action. But to be clear, you wouldn't. You would say it would
No,
be
because I
wrong.
don't think actions can be really evaluated. Well, like, you can evaluate actions as, like, this is a compassion action or not, but I do think a lot of times character has a very big role to play in it, and that will be like probably just a disagreement between us, but we would agree probably on the surrounding, like, most of the
Yeah, but
situations.
even if for every chupacabra that's hunted, like
Mm-hmm.
let's say 100 children would be saved from being eaten alive, you would still say killing the chupacabra is wrong because the intention is not virtuous.
Yeah, because in some ways, here's the thing: like, if you are acting with ill intent, you are also kind of in some ways implicating yourself into whatever possible outcome could happen, whether it's good or bad. And in some ways, your intent very much will determine, like, how reliable you are as a person. So it could be the case, like, let's say that he makes the right decision this time, but then like, what if there's a chance that he makes the wrong decision? And I know that's extrapolating, but I would say that, like, a lot of times we can only evaluate one's sometimes you can't really evaluate someone just on an action, because sometimes people will do actions like that might be good even though they had no actual interest in charity. Like, let's say they give charity, but they're giving charity to give it because they want to be seen as popular, or they want to be seen as, like, oh, cool, a nice person, or like get the attention, versus someone who's giving the charity without caring about whether he gets recognized or not. I would say that in sort of way, like, the character matters because that's kind of what drives the action in the first place.
Yeah, yeah, I guess we agree there and that the action is better, the intentions are good, and the person is a better person if the intentions are good intentions. But I don't take the view that the action is somehow bad if the intentions are not good necessarily. But so we seem to just have a
Mm.
like a value difference there.
Yeah, I got you. Could I actually forward you this paper? It's by Rosalind Hursthouse about about animal ethics. This is from a virtue ethics perspective. I don't know if you ever read it or it was
No,
just
I
an
haven't heard about
interesting.
that.
Yeah, I can show you some, and it's a little different because it does kind of change from I guess the logic Tom Regan or Peter Singer would give for
Mhm.
why animals were in, but I thought it was at least something that was big to me because at first I was also I came in as a utilitarian when I started being vegan. It was because of Peter Singer's book, but then I kind of switched around and then found some of the problems with utilitarianism, and then I thought deontology was kind of better, but deontology had some issues. I thought, or it kind of went to too much black and white. I felt and I didn't feel like actions could be evaluated, but virtue ethics I felt captured nuance. Though I understand it sometimes comes off very. It could seem like it's coming off vague, but that's kind of it. It just doesn't always know if ethics is based on just a decision procedure.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Send it over. I'm interested in learning more about virtuosity because I'm pretty sure I do take virtues as a
Right, you
consideration.
value
I just
them.
don't, I just not I'm not super educated in Aristotelian stuff or anything like that.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, no, for sure. I can send it over to you. Yeah. No, I thank you for this, Harry. Unless you have any more questions, yeah.
Sure. I mean, do you have any more questions for me?
Not really. I guess I thought this was actually going to be a much different discussion, but I guess it. Yeah, I guess it did. Yeah, I guess we kind of agree on a lot of stuff. Because yeah, I'm not a nature lover. I mean, I'm not. That's not why I'm saying I would be in favor of killing animals, but I don't think it makes sense for us to care about things like the food chain or just these things value in and of themselves. It may be a case that there is a food chain back then and we couldn't do anything about it, but now I think it's one of the things that differs humans from other and non-human animals is humans can be able to be ethically responsible in treating other animals in a way that other animals couldn't be compassionate towards each other. So we have that's kind of what gives us a sort of big value to us, or what makes humans valuable in an extra sort of way. So that's kind of why, yeah, my view on
Hmm.
humans can
Yeah,
take a
sure.
role in preventing wild animal suffering, and that's good we can do to something that nature can do. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I mean, we seem to agree. We humans not only could take a role in decreasing wild animal suffering things like this, but it would be virtuous. It would be a good thing to intervene in
Yeah.
nature and make things better for all sentient life.
Yeah.
Uh, in any way, it's gonna be a combination of all sorts of things. We discussed killing predators here, but I just was
Just one
interested in
side of
your
it,
view
right?
there because a lot of people get a very they contradict themselves and shit with that view. But there's
It's
there's all
counterintuitive at
sorts of
first. Yeah, it's counterintuitive at first, or it's very kind of
yeah.
different at
Yeah, I
first.
agree with that. It's counterintuitive. I can agree there. Yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah, there's all sorts of things that can be done, like from slowly displacing uh, wildlife by encroaching in their territory and building
yeah,
human civilization on top of it. We can use technology like gene therapy, we
yeah.
re-engineer
Genetic engineering. Yeah,
nature,
that's one of the
life
things.
engineering, and
I'm
all that
a
shit.
I'm a machine learning researcher, but I worked at a biomed lab for the summer, and yeah, one of the things. Well, one of the things they were talking about is the neurons. But there was one of my people in my group comes from genetics, and so she was talking about that.
Cool, cool, man. Yeah, that's interesting stuff, man.
Yeah, no, thank you for this, Harry. Yeah, well, anyways, I'll let you go to, I guess, well, you're picking up your girlfriend, right? Or did you already pick her?
Yeah, it's getting to my apartment right now.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
made
I'm
it
sorry
home.
if this wasn't as effective a debate or as argumentative a debate if it didn't go. Right.
Uh, Thanks for your time, man. It was a good conversation. Nice
Yeah, thank
meeting you.
you. Hope to chat again sometime, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sure. Have a good one.
All right. You too. Bye.